Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to JJ's PC Build. You know it is JJ with you once again. If it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And also to my veteran subscribers, as always, much love to you for all that you do, helping support the channel. Today, we're going to have a little bit of a talk. Somebody brought it to my attention, friend of mine, got on the horn with me and said to me, you know, there's a problem here. And I said, what is the problem? And this is a good explanation of where the Nvidia graphics cards were being made. And I said, okay, what's the problem? He said, did you look at your box? I said, what, for the graphics card? He said, yeah. He said, look at the box. And I said, okay, well, so I grabbed the box right here and I looked at the box and he says, look at the UPC code. And what doesn't make sense to him was, after I show you guys this, it says made in China. Okay, now, what did make sense to him is the fact of that, the band that they have for the 4090 over there in China, okay, is, you know, was going on since November the 17th. But if it's being made in China, who's to say that it's not still being sold in China? I mean, what kind of restrictions does the United States have to tell Nvidia that since they have their cards already made there, that they can't sell there? Or that, you know, there's any kind of restrictions without the United States even knowing? Who knows? Okay, I'm not going to beat the dead horse on that, but something don't smell right when it comes to, you know, the way the cards are being, you know, made and distributed and everything else. Something just doesn't smell right to me. But what we're going to do is we're going to take, and there's many variables that have been brought up to me today. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to venture together on a couple things. One, we're going to go to the action screen, and then we're going to see on DuckDuckGo what we can find. So let's go to the action screen. Okay, now we're here on the action screen. Let's figure out what's going on. So what we do is we're going to go to eBay. Y'all are asking me, well, why are we going to eBay? Well, we're going to eBay for a simple fact. Okay, so, well, that's not the way. Let's go backwards a little bit. Alrighty, let's go to this one right here. Okay, now, let's type in the RTX 4090. And y'all ask me why. Okay, this is why. It's one, the scalpers are back in town. And as you can see, they got an Nvidia RTX 4090 blower fan style for $4,500. And it's made in China. Right here. Unbranded. Look at this. Brand new and unbranded. So this means that now we can see the fact of what's happening with the 4090. That they're taking them apart. Okay, they are taking them apart. And they are putting them on a new PCB. The GPU die. So they're rebranding them in China. And you got this one right here for $4,200. Got one here for $4,500. Okay, you got another one here that's $2,200. You got one here that's $1,750. You got one here for $2,699, $2,700. You got one for $2,000, a Founders Edition. And you got one here for $1,899. You know, you got one here for $2,000, one here for $2,300. You got, look at this. And I want you to check this out. This is a 4090, 24 gig, 6GR6, no PCB, parts only. So what are they giving you? The box? You got one for 1900. You got a 4090 Supreme graphics card, no PBC. They don't know how to spell it. It's PCB. Okay, so basically they're just selling you the shell. So all you get is the shell for $200. $200 or $2,000 for the RTX 4090. 2659, 26, almost $5,000. Look at this, $5,000 for a 4090. I mean, that right there, you can make 3 PCs in one. Okay, so $1,500, you just get the shell with this one, $3,000 for this one. The reason why I'm bringing all this up to you all is because we need to see what's happening on the used market. And this is the used market. Okay, so now let's go over there to Amazon. Let's see what's happening on Amazon. I know I did graphics card nightmares, but I'm specifically doing this on the 4090. Not the 4090D, the 4090. Okay, because I have a little bit of an issue with all those scalping and everything else going on with this. This is ridiculous. Now, if you're going to go on to the new market, so we go on to RTX 4090. Let's see what we see. Okay, new market. They got this one here, $2,800. Okay, now this is a complete system for $34.99. The Founders Edition, $22.50. Let's see, this one's $24.02. No features available, so that means it's like an ant card. So $27.99.99, $2,800. You get still the same. You get a crap system with the 4090 in it for $3,700, $3,800. 4090 with anti-sag and HDMI cable for $2,800. 4090, $2,500, 27, 26, 38, 24, 24, 26, 24, 38, 27, 24, 29, almost $3,000. I wouldn't pay this price for a pre-built system. There's no way I would pay this for a pre-built system. It's ridiculous. One more page, and then we'll go over there to Newegg and see what they got cooking. 4090, 2500, 2500, 26, 23, 26, 22, 26. And these are in the hundreds range, just to let you know. 4,000, 4,000, 28, 24, 25, 38, 35, 4070 Ti's, 800. Now, looking at all these prices, you guys are probably wondering yourself, well, why are you saying all these prices? Look at this, $4,000, $4,100, $4,100 for this kind of system right here, which I could build that system for dirt cheap. And you really think I'm going to need a 4090 with it? Hell no. Okay. Now, to get the same specifications and everything, like I told you, I can run a 4070. They get, the 40 series specifications. So I really don't need a 4090. What do I need 24 gigs of VRAM for? And everybody's saying to yourself, what? What did you just say? What do you need 24 gigs of VRAM for? And everybody say, well, I need it for games. Okay, well then tell me what game is going to eat up that amount. If you set up your display settings in the games correctly, do you really think that you're going to eat up all that amount? Hell no. I've been watching different reviews and everything else on the 4090, even though I don't have one. And this reason why I go through this with everybody, and I go through these different sites, is because I don't have the money to buy a 4090. Okay. A lot of reviewers do the same thing too. They can't afford the hardware, so we go through the websites and we show you what our thoughts are. And this is my thoughts. And I'm giving you my opinion. And in my opinion alone, I'm going to tell you, I would never, ever buy a 4090. Especially when they got a 4090D going to be coming out. Let's go to Newegg. Okay, so that way we can see what's going on. Newegg, and we type in the RTX 4090. Let's see what they got here. Okay, so ridiculous pricing. This, to me, if you're going to spend, now I'm going to bring you all back to this one, my main screen, for a moment. If you're going to buy a graphics card, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you straight up, I am not ever, and you look at my face right here when I tell you this, I am never, ever going to recommend a card that is over $700. Nothing that ever is over $700. Is because, for the simple fact, when you do gameplay and everything else, who's to say that you can't get that same level of gameplay with the cards that are lower price? And don't forget your drink and snacks, by the way. This ban that they're doing over in China, for the 4090 and the other AI cards, you got to remember, RTX 4090 is not an AI card. It's a gaming card, but they can use it for AI because it has that level that you can use it for, and the GPU die for an AI accelerator. Okay, but if you're that hard up and you got to take and buy these cards, and you don't want to spend, I can say, $30,000 to $35,000 for an AI accelerator. That's the reason why a lot of the, China companies that are buying up the 4090s is so that way they can convert them into the AI cards. But from what I'm seeing right here on Amazon, here at the beginning, and we're going to go all the way to the top, that they're using the blower cards. Where are they at? That's Amazon. My bad. Go to the top. That was wrong thing. So look at this. From China. $4,500. Let's look at it really quick. Okay. So this is the card you would be getting. Right here, the 4090, converted into a single blower fan card. And with that kind of GPU, the die, that card's going to be putting out massive heat. That's the reason why they had it triple fanned. You didn't really see much of the double fan, but you do see for the cooling part. They do have them for cooling and everything else. But I really can't see paying $4,500 for a China-based card that does everything. And the only thing that they changed on this, it looks like right here. See what it says? Triple 8 pins. So they took off the 12-volt adapter that kept catching fire. So they switched it to triple 8 pins right there. It says it right there. So, and it goes to 4320 That looks like it's, let's see, 2160 is 4K, and 4320 8K? No. They're making this card an 8K card? Is that possible? So we need to ask ourselves that question at 450 watts. Okay, so let's get the calculator out. Y'all know I got the calculator, and oh, wait a minute, y'all ain't there yet. Let me switch you the action screen there. Now you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, this right here, the 4090 24 gigabyte single blower fan, 24 gigs of GDR6X, 16 384, 384-bit bus. They say that the minimal range is 2.52 gigahertz, which is 2520 megahertz. Okay, that's where this is where the card starts off at. Okay, at an overclock position. Now, if you turn off the overclock, it brings it down to like 22 or 23, something like that. But with the overclock on, it brings it up to 2520 megahertz, which is 2.52 gigahertz. 450 watts. Okay, 450 watts. We get 3 8-pin connectors, so you figure, your 3 8-pins. So you figure 150 per 8-pin, just an average, so 150 times 3. There's your 450 watts. They figure 150 watts per connector. So there's 3 connectors. So you get 450 watts. But, I'm going to give you a but. When I'm running this RTX 4070, I'm pulling every bit of 200 watts off of it. So if that's the case, and I'm getting 200 watts off of an 8-pin connector, a single 8-pin, okay, this is how you do the math. So I'm getting 200 times 3. So we go 200 times 3. That gives me 600 watts. So if you look at it, you can get you got a little bit of leeway. You can go from 450 up to, let's say, 550, 600 watts, just for these 8-pin connectors. These 8-pin connectors that are built right now, that's on this card, the durability is better than that 12 or 16-pin connector with the Sense and everything else that they have on the regular 4090 or the 4080. So, and plus they did it with the 4060 and the 4060 Ti. But the 4070 had the option of getting one 8-pin connector or doing the 12 or 16-pin high power connector. I chose to get the one with the 8-pin connector. Runs at 200 watts, no issues. I've had this card in here for several months. I mean, a lot of months. And it's still plugged in, and I've checked this. I've checked this 3 times. No melting whatsoever. So that's kind of a plus for me, but looking at this, paying for this $4,500, they got to be out of their freaking minds, and that's on eBay. So you got to be out of your mind that I'm going to spend for a blower fan 4090, which ain't going to give nowhere near the cooling you need. You tell me right here, where you're going to get the cooling you need off of this. And plus, it's a cheap PCB too. So, I don't think that'll be worth the price of gold or bronze or whatever. Okay, so What I'm seeing right here is basically where they're just being scalped. Okay, looks like China is scalping it. I mean, you figure like this. Now we get the calculator back out. So you figure 16, you figure 4,500 minus 1,600. So you're telling me you're going to spend an extra $2,900. You're going to spend an extra $2,900 just for this card. You ain't going to spend $2,900 extra for that card. You can build 3 PCs with that price. Okay, like I did on the live stream, I put together three different PCs, 3 or 4 different PCs. One with Intel. Actually 4, if you look at it that way. One with Intel, all Intel and ARC. One with AMD, all AMD, graphics card and all. I did one with AMD and Nvidia, and I did Intel with Nvidia. Okay, so looking at the higher or lower prices, but I did that on the 13th gen series for Intel and the AM5 series for AMD. Show you the high settings, but the good ones, the good processors that are out there that you can get your hands on for a low cost price. It's still $1,500. I averaged all those across the board, and they're still at $1,500, all 4 of them. So if you're looking for a decent gaming PC, I did mix in the RX 7600, and I did mix in the RTX 4070. So, and I'm going to say this again, I'm still going to go back to the 4070, but I might go to the 7800 XT and try that as well, because that's running neck and neck with the RTX 4070. So I might as well get that second card that's running neck and neck with it, which would be the 7800 XT. Price wise, if Nvidia ever brings down the price, who knows? But the main problem I really had with them saying the 4090 being that they're going to discontinue it in China. How are you going to discontinue something that's where you make it? How can you discontinue it if you make it there? And under that ruling of where it's being made, then I think what I hear from people is that if they make it in the same country, that they have the say-so of where it can be distributed at. So even though that, Nvidia is, hiring their companies out there in China to make it, they still have the right to distribute it in China. So where the U.S. government's coming by that they can restrict that, I don't see where they can come up with that note to where they can say they can, tell you where you can buy and you can't buy. Okay. That's freedom of choice. That's a part of the Constitution. We have a freedom of choice. We have a freedom of choice where to sell. We have a freedom of choice who buys whatever we sell. And if we make it, wherever we make it, we reserve the right to sell to whoever we want. but it doesn't seem like it ever happens that way. And it looks like, when it comes to the 4090, I hate to tell you this, with the 4090, looks like it's a disaster. Okay, so we'll go to videocards.com and we'll pop on their site. Okay, so what's given me the heads up on some things is right here. Formal crypto mining GPUs are now being repurposed to make GeForce RTX 3080 20 gigabytes and RX 580 16 gigabyte cards. Okay, we're gonna go through this. So never release GeForce RTX 3080 20 gigabyte and Radeon RX 580 16 gigabytes now available in China. Okay, now see, these are single blower cards for GeForce, and looks like it's twin fans for the RX 580 16 gigs. Now this is from Video Cards, and I give them a high five for this. Recently, we have discussed the topic of the RTX 4090 GPUs that are currently being disassembled and reassembled as AI accelerators for emerging AI market. This has been happening in China for a while, but people have only noticed it recently because there aren't many of these GPUs due to the US sanctions. It is regrettable that such companies continue to operate and they use perfectly working gaming GPUs and make entirely new blower style cards for a different market. However, sometimes these cards have a different origin. Most of the blower style cards on the Chinese market are old crypto mining GPUs that are no longer profitable to use. Companies like Jinsu are buying them in masses and giving them a second chance, as long as the gamers know that these cards are old and have been used for crypto mining, and they are cheaper than similar GPUs on secondhand market. Then there's nothing to complain about. Sadly, that is not always the case. One of the GPUs that have recently emerged is GeForce RTX 3080 20 gigabyte. Now that's kind of interesting, which never released by Nvidia, although there were many rumors about such a SKU being planned. The model was mentioned in the internal board partners' roadmaps, but it never made it to the marketplace. The reason why Chinese companies picked up the RTX 3080 instead of the 3090, already equipped with 24 gigabytes of memory, is simple. The RTX 3080 is much cheaper to produce. Wow. So, wow. It's got two 8-pin connectors, looks like. Wow. Furthermore, it can be easily modded to 20 gigabytes of memory through some known physical and software mods. Modders have already shown how to achieve this months ago, and we have already seen such cards on the Chinese market for around 600 a year ago. These cards were strictly marketed for crypto mining, and their pricing was not shocking at the time. However, with the new US sanctions in place, access to high memory RTX GPUs is causing another price surge. So this particular model is sold for around $900 now. iLake VN's the one that put it out there. Wow. So, as you can see, when it comes down to it, if they're putting a 3080 20 gigabyte out of China, okay, and they're putting the RX 580 16 gigabyte out of China as well, that they're trying to put new life to these cards, but how many people are going to actually really buy them? I'm scratching my head right now because it's a humdinger. Okay, when I bought a motherboard from China a long time ago, it did not come with the driver software or any kind of software. I had to go and scrimp and look for the software for that motherboard. Just using that as an example. Okay, it's an Intel motherboard, even though it's got Intel chips and everything else on there, but they're modified Intel chips on that motherboard. So I would have looked for their programming, which they had none. So I would have to go to the second best. I would have to pull up old driver software from Intel to make it work, which I did. I made that motherboard work, but that's with the Xeon processor. I just wanted to sample out and see what was going on over there in China, what they would sell to me over here. But for $125, they sold me the motherboard. They sold me 32 gigs of RAM, ECC memory. They sold me the processor, and what was it? 8-core 16-thread processor. All for $125. So I thought it was a great deal, and plus it's compatible with an Intel processor, and it's compatible with many other Xeon processors. So I thought I got a really great deal. Turn around, it worked. It worked fine with the processor they sent with it and everything. Works great. My friend has that till today. It still runs great. And I've already checked up on him. So, but he's going to be going to the new one that I'm going to be building for him. So it's going to be the Asus TUF motherboard, the B550 Asus TUF motherboard, Wi-Fi gaming. And I'm going to be putting the 5600 X3D in there. And then I'm probably going to strap upon that. To do that, I'm probably going to take and pick up the RX 7800 XT for him so that he can run that and tell me how it runs and, give it a workout. So that's something to keep in mind too. But I'm still going to keep the 4070 in my main PC. It's not going anywhere. Not just yet. Not unless Nvidia does something really crazy to the software. That's when I'll be like getting rid of this card. But I doubt that I have to do that. They haven't had nothing crazy yet, so it's just something to think about. I'm just bringing this cause and effect to you. I know I talked about many things about this 4090. Okay? Many things. I don't see it being viable. I really don't. I really don't see it being viable for consumers at this point in time. Back maybe 2, 3, 4 months ago, yeah, maybe. But as far as, now, paying like $4,000 to $5,000 and people scalping them, I'm going to tell you, I'm not, my mind is not set on getting a 4090. And if you are and you want to get a 4090, then you'll have the hardest time in the world finding one at around MSRP. So if you find one at MSRP and you get it on the used market, then good luck to you. But if you find one at close to MSRP on the new and for brand new, then you're going to have a hard time looking. So furthermore, when it comes to the 4090D, the Dragon version, they call it a Dragon. You don't want to know what I would call it, but they call it the RTX 4090D. That's going to be a different story. Because that's going to be like a cut down version of the 4090. They're going to be cutting a lot of things down to sell it in China. So basically, you're looking at a 4090D, which is probably going to be either equal to the 4080 or the 4070 Ti. Basic said and put. I'm not going to candy coat it. I'm going to cut and dry it right now. So it could either be almost equal to the 4080 or it could be equal to the 4070 Ti. One or the other. But that's my thought and my opinion on that. So you can take it with a grain of salt or you can take it like gold. Because I'm telling you, it's not going to be a viable card for gaming. It might be over in China, but here, I don't think it's going to be viable. So if you guys are looking to get yourself the 4090, the 4090D, then good luck with that. Unless Nvidia decides to sell it over here in the US. I haven't heard anything about it being sold over here in the US, but I'm hearing it being sold in China only. That's all I'm hearing. Like the GRE graphics cards, they're being sold in China. You know, I can see that Nvidia has did a small lineup of the 40 series, but decided to put like 4 or 5 cards, brand new cards, to sell over in China. I don't see why they can't sell them here. Well, maybe because they don't want to sell them here because they know how people in the United States acts. If they got their hands on those cards, they tested them and everything else, and they just didn't work, you know. And they would get so much backlash and ridicule from it. That's the reason why they don't want to sell it here. I don't hear many reviewers pulling those cards and putting them on their bench and saying, you know what, I reviewed this. And this is my results. No, we're getting leaks and everything else from China on what this stuff is. But it still doesn't make sense to me for the simple fact that, you know, they're turning around and they're making the cards in China. And they can't sell in China. There's something not fitting this ball, you know. So how can you remain a trillion? Now, if something like that happens and they didn't fulfill all their orders, looking at the stock market under Nvidia, they would have dropped off below the $1 trillion mark, because that's a lot of GPUs you're talking about. A lot of a lot of AI accelerators and stuff like that. But, you know, for somebody to come up with an AI accelerator that's single fan, you know, that had to be coming from China, because that's all they like to do is the single fan, cheapest way you can do it. Cheap. Okay. But over here, everybody likes it a certain way, where you got triple fans, you know, you got a nice heat sink in there and everything else, but you pay a price. So if you go to get a repurposed version of the 4090 from China, you're losing half the heat sink. You're losing, 90% of your cooling. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't seem viable. You know, maybe in China it might seem viable to them to sell it to everybody that's in China. But why would you spend all that money and buy up all those cards just to repurpose them to put them on a new PCB to say, oh, now it's AI accelerators? Come on and buy them for this price. It's a cash grab. Come on, everybody, wake the hell up. It's a cash grab. They're doing a cash grab. It's simple. I mean, if you're going to fall into that trap of, saying, oh, I want to try their card and I'm going to go buy it and have it shipped. Good luck on shipping. Because you don't know. You take a 50-50 risk to get it past customs to have it come over here. Because now it's a custom card. It's customized. It's been recustomized. So it's not like you're getting it from Nvidia anymore. You're getting one of their cards that they took Nvidia parts and then just slapped it all together on a PCB and said, here you go. It's ridiculous. I mean, that's nothing but a cash grab. So China is doing more scalping than anybody right now. So, because all these little oddball companies that you see selling on Amazon, Newegg and all that, those are the ones that are selling the cheap graphics cards that are not even viable for, great gameplay. So if you think you can buy a RX 580 16 gigabytes and get great gameplay out of it, good luck to you. I'm just going to tell you that. What happens when AMD decides to say, okay, well, for that little 500 series, they're done. It's end of life, no more drivers and everything else. So now you're stuck with a 16 gigabyte card that you can't even get updates for anymore. Just like the 3080, what happens when they discontinue that? Or what happens when you run into artifacting and everything else? You think sending those cards back to China to get them fixed and so you can get them back? Yeah. It's too shady. To me, it's too shady. I'd rather buy it from Amazon or Newegg or Micro Center, or even Jawa, Temu. If I was really desperate for a graphics card, go over there to Dell, and see what kind of pre-built systems they got and what they got inside them and what kind of graphics card and everything else. Probably get a cheaper pre-built with a decent graphics card and then just buy the whole thing for $600 or $700. It all depends on where you want to buy it from, but that's my opinion. I'm just letting you all know that, it's not great to buy the 4090 right now because it's going to be messy, and if you can get your hands on a card that's below or within the 15 to 16 or between $1,500 and $1,700. Okay, for the 4090, an original 4090. And at least it's got the triple fan and the OC. It's the OC version where you can overclock and everything else. And you get in between $1,500 and $1,700. That's up to you. Everybody I know that's already seen that, they said $1,500, $1,700, they can go buy another car. They said, the hell with it. They would never buy something that high. And I agreed with them. I done had like a 4-hour setting with a bunch of people around the table, and we all discussed it. And what I got from all my friends was this. They said, look, everyone says the same thing about this. They say, if you're going to spend that kind of money, why not build 2 or 3 of them, 3 systems, instead of just putting all your eggs into one basket, And they're right. I mean, I would go as far as, if I was thinking about it, as far as buying 7900 XTX or the 7900, but finding out China's buying those up too. They're going to repurpose those too. Watch. They're going to repurpose those too. So, and you're going to watch AMD cards start going up through the roof. So, it's coming. It's coming. If they're doing all this crap now, it's coming. You might as well just get yourself into the mode to where recession's going to be happening with graphics cards. So, but it's my opinion, and I'm giving it to you the way I see it. And I think it's all crap. That the graphics card manufacturers should never ever make any card more than $1,200. My opinion, they go over $1,200 on a graphics card, it's not worth buying. Especially price to performance. Back then, about maybe 9 months ago, price to performance was there. But now, today, and Nvidia, Intel, and AMD, I'm going to tell you all straight up, it's not there. And other reviewers can do their own pricing and everything else. I can tell you by doing my pricing alone. My pricing alone. And I'm going to bring this up. Now let's go back to the action screen. Okay. So now, bring the calculator up. So, if we look at it like this, if you bought a graphics card, let's say you paid $1,600, okay, and you divide that by 5 years, that's $320. Okay, is that going to be viable for 5 years? Maybe. If the card's going to last 5 years, maybe. Maybe not. It might catch fire. You never know. So for $320 a year, it's not viable to me. You can buy graphics cards all day long for $320. So have this one graphics card for $320 per year, it's not viable. It is not. Now, if you do your math and you decide, like, if you wanted to buy like an $800 card, see, now you do the $800 card and you divide that by 5 years, that's $160. Okay, now you look on the market, what card you have right there, that's $800, and look on the market what kind of performance you get out of a $160 card. Okay, and you're only getting like about one quarter of the performance you're getting on your $800 card. So that 160 is only going to show me minimal to no cards that are worth buying for that. Okay, then that makes that $800 card viable, because for the price to performance, if I got a card at 160, and if I looked up a card for $160, it's not going to be something that I'm really going to want to buy. What, an RX 5700 XT? I can't get the RX 6600 XT because or the 6600, because it's $20 more, $30 more than, what my original graphics card will be worth. So, and the performance wouldn't meet with the card I have on hand. So, do you really think that the $800 card is viable? No. So, I tell myself, okay, so I know those cards aren't viable, right? So now I go down to $600. Okay, and I divide that by 5. So that's $120. Now I look at all the cards on the market. What can I get for $120? that's going to be viable, that's going to be within that certain price range. Okay, well, any card that if you split, let's say the RTX 4070, you split it in half. Okay. You split it in half. That's $300. So that puts you in between a $300 card. The 120 is usage. So if you spend 120 a year on a card that costs $600, price to performance wise, price to usage, not performance. Performance is always going to be there, but usage is how long you use it every day for a whole year. That's what gives you your price to performance, I think. Because if I use my card every day for 7 days a week for 365 days a year, I take 120 and I divide it by 365. So it's costing me 33 cents a day to use that graphics card I got. 33 cents a day. Is it viable to me for 33 cents a day? Oh, hell yeah. Does it give me the performance I want for that 33 cents a day? Hell yeah. Am I happy with the 4070? Hell yeah. Now the 4090, on the other hand, it's just an overbearing beast. Do you think it's viable for doing light gaming? It can do light gaming. It can do heavy gaming. So you get the point. I don't need to bring it up to you. You get the point. The way I price things are usually pretty much accurate when it comes to price to performance. Excuse me. Reason is I do it my way is because that I find out the way I do it makes more sense to me than doing it everybody else's way. So, but if you're not happy with your video card and you want to go to a bigger one, then the way things are looking right now, going back and forth with China, if the prices start creeping up, which they are already starting to creep up, then you might want to think about, either reducing your display settings to make your gameplay a little bit better, or you might want to buy a bigger card and take your chances. Either way, it's up to you. This is just a notification to everybody on this video to let y'all know that when it comes to buying a graphics card is not hard. It just goes by your affordability and whatever you can afford. That's pretty much what you're going to get. But as far as price to performance on what you can afford, that's going to be a little bit different ball of wax. But if you can get your card down to a decent price, then you got a better deal. And now you got a card that puts out a great amount of performance, and it's the newest card, and you're happy with it. So that's pretty much what I did. So I used my head. I got, this price point on this card down below for the price point of buying a 7800 XT. Now, if I go to do it again, I would be able to get the price point down a little bit lower, getting the 7800 XT, I think. So, but it is what it is. And if you made it to the end of the video, it is much appreciated. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. And if you subscribed already, welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And my veteran subscribers, as always, much love to you for all that you do, helping support the channel, watching videos from beginning to end, and also to telling your friends to come on down and help subscribe. And don't forget, positive thumbs up, everybody. Positive thumbs up. I need to see more thumbs up on these videos. I'm only seeing, like, the maximum I've already seen was like maybe 16. And we got, what? We're getting close to 300 subscribers. Come on, guys. Put some positive likes on these videos, you know. Even if you hate them, just put a positive like on them. Because if you don't, then YouTube will not put my videos out there, and then we won't get more subscribers. And then, you know, we're not working towards our goal. If you want to help me get to the next step on YouTube, please help me get to that next step. Help me get more subscribers. I'm putting the word out there, but if YouTube's not putting the word out there, I hope everybody else is putting the word out there. It is appreciated. Deeply, it is appreciated. As I watch all these other channels, I just want to take a couple minutes out. I watch all these other channels too. And, you know, they do giveaways and everything else. I want to start doing that. I want to start, you know, building stuff and doing giveaways, you know, get everybody focused and, you know, get everything in the right direction. I know being a new YouTuber and everything else, but I might be a new YouTuber. And I'm going to tell you this. I might be a new YouTuber, but I've been in this game too many years. So, it's new school versus old school. So, I do things old school, and I try to do things new school. So, but I hope y'all hear my plead, and please subscribe. But anyway, until the next time in the next video, this is JJ on JJ's PC Builds. We will see you on the next video.